In this video I want to say a few words about RGB colors and trying to match RGB colors with find a paint match for them. Now, sometimes you don't have the color you want in, say, a swatch, or you don't have the ability to scan the color. And you know, a lot of us that do modeling, especially based on movie models, we may not have access to the colors, and we want to pick colors out of a photograph or a screen capture. So first I want to talk about paint matching with RGB colors. Now, the issue that you're going to have, I'm going to talk about, let's say RGB, add new group. Oh, I'll add the group then. Okay, so I'm going to add a color. Let's do red. Now, if I were to choose a bright red, you know, let's say I chose up here, a very saturated red. This would be like a very, very bright red. I'm not going to have a lot of luck with the app. I'll tell you that up front right now. Let's go try to find a mix. And we'll choose the primary pigments to me, and let's see what happens. Let's do find mixes. So what it's going to come back and tell me, and I'm pretty sure what it's going to say, is it's going to come back with red, flat red. And pretty much that's going to be it. It's actually taking a long time to churn. So we have flat red, it's asking a little bit, but if you look at the delta E is 9. And the reason is most model paints, they have only one pigment for red. So that'd be it. All the paints use the same pigment. And the pigment is made for modeling, and model colors tend not to be very saturated. And the reason for that is when you scale down a model, the colors become less vibrant. If you're looking at something, the idea is a scaled model, it's like you're looking at it far away. And when you look at things far away, there's an atmospheric haze, and your eyes have become adjusted to it over time. And you typically don't see bright colors on the horizon. You see muted colors on the horizon. That's why a lot of model colors tend to be muted. So if you have a very, very saturated color for the model ranges, you can actually match it. If you went to Home Depot and so forth and try to match a very saturated red, they have a variety of red pigments, and you can match a saturated red. But with model colors, you're stuck with the pigments that come in the bottles. And this is as red as you're ever going to get with Tamiya. And likewise, you'll have slightly different reds for other model ranges. Now, the same is true. Let's say we wanted a bright blue. Let's add a color and do blue. Let's take a really, really bright, really saturated blue, and I try to find that mix. I'm going to run into the exact same problem. It's going to probably choose flat blue and maybe try to lighten it a little bit with white. But again, your delta E here, it's 11. Because this blue is never going to become a bright blue. If you mix it with white, it's going to become light blue. It's not going to ever be a bright blue. The only way you get bright blue is by using a pigment that is a bright blue. That's how they do it professionally. That's how like I said, if you go to Home Depot or you go to Lowe's, those blues are going to be very bright because the pigments are very bright. This pigment was chosen to be a model pigment, which is a little more muted, less saturated. So you're not going to get the bright colors if you choose RGB. And my rule of thumb with the app is if you go into edit colors, if you choose colors up here in this corner up here, those are going to be your very saturated colors. If you come back a little bit, those will be more muted colors. And if you have to choose a color using the you're going to want to pick things that are down towards this color and less than up that color. Your more saturated things, like there is no Tamiya pigment that will give you a bright neon green. You have to have neon paints to do that because the paints are made to be heavily saturated colors. The pigments are already saturated. You can't turn a non-saturated pigment into a saturated pigment. It's just not physically possible. Okay, but with that said, we do have a desire, okay, what can we get out of capturing? I'm going to try to show you a problem I had when I was trying to do the Enterprise Shuttlebay, and I had a hard time matching the green interior of the Shuttlebay.
Now you can see that when you want to pick a color, let's say this is the green I was talking about. You can kind of see this green that's in the, and you can actually see Admiral Kirk's when he's coming on to the Enterprise and he's looking over this balcony. You can kind of see the green in the background. They match it to the original Probert matte painting. Now, if you go into the distance and so forth, you'll see that if I click on one of these, those greens are they're actually very grayish. So that's one of the first problems you're going to have matching is like if I try to match this green, that's going to come out very dark. So what you want to do when you're picking colors off a screen like this, you probably don't want to pick the darkest shade. You want to find something that's a little bit lighter. This might be too light, for example, like you don't see the green. So picking a color off this, like there's another dark green, you can try a couple things. You could try maybe picking a dark green and then lightening it up on your own. What I tend to do is I try to find something in the picture that's a little more representative of the color that I want. And in this one, I actually found this railing here tends to have what I need on it. And there I'm going to write down my color code. My R is 67, my G is 100, and my B is 98. And we're going to try that in the app and see how that goes.
All right, so with my RGB numbers, I'm going to go back in here. Let's go back, and we'll go back in my Enterprise color group just for fun. We'll add a color. We'll call this Shuttlebay. Let's spell something different. Call this Shuttlebay. All right. So in here, the observer and the illumination is probably, I'm going to probably try to make it a little bit darker since the Shuttlebay is a little bit darker. Now I'm going to put in my RGB. So this is a value from 0 to 255, standard RGB stuff. So I had 67, I had 100, and I had 98. Okay, so that's kind of representative what I was looking for. It's kind of a turquoise-ish, bluish green color. It looks a little dark on here, but I'm going to try it out. I'm going to see how this goes. So let's go. We'll do my primary pigments, and I'll do fine mixes, and we'll see what happens. Now, the other thing is, like I said, you have to avoid the saturated colors. This color isn't very saturated. And then we see here, I can't get, it's still probably a little more saturated than the app would like. But it kind of gets me in the ballpark. I can see visually what the difference in the two colors is. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to try this mix. I'm going to save that mix, and let's see what we can get out of it. All right, so I got my stuff out. I'm going to go ahead and try to mix this color. And this shouldn't take too long because there's not a lot of colors to mix. So we're going to start with the sky gray because that's our lowest. I'm going to put one drop of the sky gray in. All right, that was a big drop. So that was 0.24. 0.024, sorry. 0.024. All right, so let's see what we can get out of this. So let's start with the yellow-green. And the yellow-green is 26 times 0.024. So that's 0.624 for the yellow-green. All right. Tear that. 624 is what we're looking for. Slowing down. We got 0.621. That's good enough. All right. And we'll tear that. We're going to go with flat green. That's 30. And that's going to be 0.72. 0.6. And 0.72. Got it. All right. And then the flat blue is 27. Point 648. And one more drop. All right. There we go. And then we're going to do the white, which is 44. And that's going to be 1.056. All right. Point. One more. And a little bit more. All right, we'll call it done. All right, so let's mix it up. All right. So let's mix it up. All right. It's green, it's starting to take shape a little bit, and that's not a bad green for the Shuttlebay. Definitely usable. And you know, it's with the lighting and the fact that you know you have a set green, and you have various shades of green on a matte painting. There is no one right color, and I definitely encourage you to experiment. You know, like for me, I might lighten this up with a little bit of white. I maybe add a little bit of yellow to it. I'm not sure. But you got a couple options, and you know, like I said, feel free to experiment. But you know, this is an example of how you can take a screen capture, and you can get something that's usable, and no one's really going to disagree with you because there is no single right color for this. But I like this color. I would use it. It looks pretty good.